Hello, peoples of the internet. I'm Mo, and I am here today with an original tag, just because I felt like it. So this is the My Literary Crew tag, and it essentially has come into being because I have a slight obsession with ships, as in the vehicles that take you places, and whether those be ships that are on the water, or if they're airships, or spaceships, any sort of ship. I don't know why, I just think they're really cool. And so I was thinking about ships the other day, and I came up with this idea for a tag that sounded like a lot of fun. So in this tag, you are the owner of a ship. You may choose what variety of ship you would like that to be, but you need to hire a crew for your ship, and the people who are applying are all book characters. And so any character from any book that you've read, you can pick to be a part of your ship's crew. So I have a list of different crew members who you will need to hire, and I'm just gonna go straight through the list here. So, first of all, obviously, you need to hire a captain and need to have somebody who's in charge. So I have picked Mary from R.A. McAvoy's The Grey Horse, because I feel like she would be really good at this. She's just this really straightforward, no-nonsense, like, down-to-earth, doesn't mind telling anybody what she thinks type of person. And I don't know, she's Irish and kind of forceful, and I feel like she'd be able to take that, like, in-charge role really well. And also, she's already, like, involved in, like, secret political stuff in the book. So I don't know, I just feel like she would make a really good leader, who would keep everybody in line on my ship. The next position that needs to be filled is that of Quartermaster, so basically who's managing everybody, who's making sure that everybody's following orders and doing what they're supposed to be doing. And for this, I have picked my favorite Edgar Rice Burroughs character, and that is Tars Tarkas. If you have not read any Edgar Rice Burroughs, Tars Tarkas is a green Martian from the Barsoom or John Carter series. And so he's like this really big, fierce, like, four-armed Martian warrior who he gets things done. But in addition to being, like, this really intense fighter, he's also, like, one of the most loyal characters ever, and he's super tenacious, and he's very patient, and he does what it takes to get things done the way they need to be. And yeah, he's just a lot of fun, and he's a super awesome character. I prefer him to the human characters in those books. So yeah, moving on. The next position is Navigator, who is getting you where you're going. And for this one, I picked Roger the Dwarf from Gerald Morris's The Savage Damsel and the Dwarf, which is an Arthurian retelling. And kind of for multiple reasons. Firstly, in this book, lots of people don't have a very good sense of direction, and Roger is constantly having to save them because they're getting lost, and he's the one who actually knows where he's going. So I feel like he would make a good navigator. But I also feel like he's the sort of person that I would like to be on a ship with for a long period of time, because he's, like, really amusing and down to earth, and I feel like I could handle spending a long period of time in the same small area with him, and he would, like, kind of help crew morale overall to, like, remain good, as well as getting us where we needed to go. The next position is the Boatswain, or the engineer, so who is keeping your ship shipshape and ready to be sailing and going where it needs to be. And for this, I have picked Dr. X from Neil Stephenson's The Diamond Age. Dr. X is, he's a nano-engineer, but what he really does is he steals other people's technology and then, like, reassembles it and makes his own versions, like, in this little, like, hole-in-the-wall place. And he's just really good at working with not a lot of resources and making things work out, and I feel like he'd be able to make a lot of really cool improvements to our ship if it was necessary, and that he'd be able to deal with random emergencies and sort of make new things up in a pinch if he had to. So he's not necessarily the most nice character, but I think he would do a really good job at filling this position. All right, the next position is the surgeon or the doctor, who's keeping everybody on your ship well and alive, etc. And for this, I have chosen Jenkins from City by Clifford D. Simak. Jenkins is probably the most present character in that book because most of it is short stories and all of the people, eventually die because they're human and Jenkins is a robot, so he doesn't. But he really almost seems kind of mothering for a robot. He just takes care of everybody and he knows what they need and their habits and their likes and their dislikes, and he just makes sure that everything is going as smoothly as possible and running really well, and he's just super sweet for a robot, and I feel like I would want Jenkins taking care of me, so I'm picking him for our doctor. Alright, the next position is the gunner. This doesn't really need much of an explanation, and neither does my pick for this. I have picked Gimli from Lord of the Rings, because obviously. The next position is that of the cook, so who is keeping everyone fed, and for this I have picked Princess Cimmerine from the Enchanted Forest Chronicles, because we know from the stories that she not only is a good cook in spite of being a princess, but that she's also used to having to cook in not very good conditions, and having to work with limited resources, but still doing a good job of it. And so I feel like she would be able to handle all of those pressures of being a cook on a ship where the resources are maybe not ideal. But also that I think her personality would really work out well on a ship because she is so straightforward and no nonsense and just get stuff done. Yeah, nobody messes with Cimmerine. You don't want issues in the kitchen. And the last position on the ship's crew is the one that I am most amused by, and that is that of the musician. So when I was making this tag, I actually looked up a list of people who work on a ship to make sure I wasn't forgetting anything important. And apparently it was not historically uncommon to have a musician or a jester or somebody of this sort on a ship, particularly on pirate and Viking ships. I think they oftentimes just sort of kept some people that they had captured from other ships and made them stick around and amuse them. But when you think about it, the same small group of people in a small, confined space for very long periods of time, some form of amusement is going to be very important. So, after that long introduction, the person I picked for this position was Marco Polo, specifically the version of Marco Polo in Italo Calvino's Invisible Cities. So he's not necessarily a musician, but he's constantly telling these funny, weird stories that I think would be a good way of keeping everybody amused and sort of lighthearted while they are on whatever long journey they may be on at the time. So that is who I've picked for my crew of my ship. I'm going to take some people down in the comments, so you can check down there to see if I have tagged you. If I have not, and you would like to do this tag, please do it, and then leave me a link to your video so I can come watch and see who you've picked. Or if you just want to let me know down in the comments if you can think of any book characters who you think would be awesome on a ship's crew in some position or other, I would love to hear about it, and I will be seeing you guys next time. Bye.